You're listening to the Two Sleuth Podcast, all about the business of dentistry, hosted by yours truly, Greg Essenmacher, a fixed full arch dental expert and founder of G&A Consult, speaking with industry leaders on the dental landscape from their perspective. At G&A, we specialize in transforming full arch dental practices, teaching, coaching, and training teams to deliver an exceptional patient experience, from that first call to delivering final smiles. Whether you're a practice owner, a DSO executive, or a regional leader looking to expand your full arch program, boost same-store sales, or unlock the true profitability of full arch cases, we've got you covered. Ready to see how full arch can elevate your practice? Visit the show page or book a discovery call today. Let's turn your potential into results. Welcome back, everyone. Greg Essenmacher here, Two Sleuth Podcast. I'm so excited to welcome back. Well, then again, we were just talking in the green room, and it's no longer the former Brandi. Now it's Brandi Marzolino. So congratulations, Brandi, since the last time being on the program many, many moons ago, and getting hitched out in the woods. Wait, that doesn't sound right. Welcome to the show, Brandi.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
In the woods. A lot happens in the woods.
I mean, that's kind of how it happened, though. That's what I heard. So,
Yes.
Brandi, I mean, a leader of women in dentistry. I love it. You've been in the industry for a long time. You've been in the wellness space and operations for decades. And I wanted to bring you back on the show for one main reason. You've got something super exciting to share with the industry and share with women of the industry. And so let's rip off the Band-Aid. I want you to start talking about it because I want people to know about it. It is such a great value add for the industry. And you know I'm a huge supporter of women in the industry. Let's get down to it.
Yes. Awesome. Well, I am launching the Empowered Leadership Experience for Women in Dental. We're launching on August 11th. So whenever you listen to this, August 11th of 2025, and it's a 6-month experience, especially curated for anyone who identifies as a woman and anyone who identifies as a leader in the dental industry. So you could be an owner doctor, you can be an associate, you can be an office manager, you can be in the DSO space, executive, industry partner, whoever you are. If you find yourself leading in one capacity or another, because it's not just leading in business, it's also leading in life. And so it is a program where women are going to leave feeling more confident, having clear tools on how to be an effective communicator with interpersonal, inter-team, and business dynamics, but also with yourself. You'll leave with self-care techniques and a blueprint that's unique to you. You're going to leave with a 90-day and even a 10-year action plan with goals and initiatives that are designed and curated especially for you and your soul and what lights you up. And through the experience, we're also going to be deciding and finding for you what does light you up, what makes you tick, what brings your soul and spirit alive, what are your beliefs, what are your values. A lot of people talk about boundaries and needing tools to create effective boundaries for yourself, for family, for business. We're going to go over all of that, how to lead effective team meetings, how to have difficult conversations. That's all included. It's a part online or mostly online where there's going to be modules that go along with each of these topics. There's going to be community support with a community group on Facebook. There's also going to be a live coaching call with me once a month. And there's also going to be a messy middle mastermind, I'm calling it, where I'm bringing on women from the industry who are going to be essentially sharing their experience, strength, and hope on how they got to where they are or where they're currently at. Because what I want to do is normalize the experience, and I want to ditch the highlight reel. I want women to get on and share from an authentic place so that other women can relate. They can see themselves in those stories, and we can learn and grow in a beautiful community space. And I also want to be able to leverage and highlight other incredible women in the industry and introduce them to women in this community space. And that's just tier 1. So there's 3 tiers, but that's just the fundamental basic tier. And you also get 24 CE credits while you're doing it. So that's pretty fun. And there's going to be live events to integrate all of it as well when we're ready to do that.
I love it. And there was a little bit in there, but wait, there's more, right? So that was great. I mean, you laid it out so well. And what really resonated with me personally, because I work with women in my team, right? And
Mhm.
GNA Consult is made up of women. And it's supporting that. But you talked about people finding their passion.
Yeah.
And we work with full arch clinics, those doing full arch as a part of the general dentistry practice with DSOs. And it is about the passion. If you're passionate about something, anything, you're going to thrive in it
Mhm.
and be successful in whatever way, shape that you define success. And so I want to break down what you shared, because there was the content piece, there was the application piece, and then there was the format piece. And so I'd love to be
Mhm.
able to break down those three sections and dive down into each of them to really break it apart so people listening can understand it better, so it doesn't get lost in the mire of, oh, this is just another course. This is just another 6 month application. This is just, right?
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
just.
for sure.
So let's talk about the content, because the content is so rich. Let's
Mhm.
start there, because there's so much there that you shared, right?
Yeah.
Where did this come from? Because it had to have come from a very personal place for you. So let's get a little raw,
Yeah.
shall we?
Yes.
Tell me about
So
that piece.
yeah. Well, I've been like you and I were talking about, I've been in the coaching space for over 20 years, and my coaching career actually started in holistic health. And so certified health coach through the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, which is a holistic application, right? So it's mind, body, spirit connection. And so over the last 20 years, this has just been a culmination of everything I've learned through my own personal journey, right, which we'll talk about. And it applies a holistic mindset, which is everything is connected. So you can't just go and read a leadership book. You can't just go and read or go to a weekend course and become an instant leader, because it's not going to be sustainable ultimately. And then also, similar to like dieting, you can't necessarily go on a crash diet and expect it to change if you need, if you want it to be sustainable, if it's truly your relationship with how you eat and your body and all of that, right? So this is a full integrative approach. Um, and something that I recognized in myself when I started my career was I lost myself in everybody else's agenda, what everybody else wanted from me because of how I was raised and because of the just the environment that I had been in for a long period of time. I wanted to be of service to other people, and I wanted to create great value and do great work. And through that, I gave a lot. There was a lot of output, and I was expecting a lot back in return from the places that I've worked. And I think, kind of circling back to what you were saying about passion, what I want to also incorporate into that is, if a lot of people, I think today, something that I recognize is they're looking for work to fill their cup all the time, and not just if you're a business owner, but also if you're an employee, right? Like there's an enormous amount of pressure on the workplace to fulfill needs, right? And what I'm getting back to is like the foundational stuff that you got to fill your cup first. And you have to understand who you are and why you're doing what you're doing, and what are ways that you can be self-sustaining in the spirit of community as well. Because if you're living life with the expectation that something out there is going to always be filling you up, I think you're setting yourself up for a life or a career of disappointment and pain and sadness and grief, where and then also recognizing when is it time to leave, when is it when have we moved on from this experience, and maybe our needs can't get met in the way that we need from an employer or an experience, or I've changed or something like that, so it's time for me to move on. But I think from a personal perspective, yeah, I mean, living a life of that for a long period of time, I ended up, as you know, drinking a lot as a result to cope and numb the internal dialogue, because the internal dialogue was very loud, that I wasn't happy, I wasn't fulfilling what I wanted to be doing. I was ignoring all the signs that it was time for me to move on, time for me to create something different in my life. The list went on and on and on, that I wasn't in healthy situations. I didn't know what I believed or what I stood for or what I cared about, because I just took on the identity of everyone else I was around. And when we talk about abandonment, like, I had abandoned myself. I'd gotten so far off course from who I really was, that drinking was my solution, because then I could just forget about it. Tough day at work, come home, drink, get up the next day, do it all over again. And I just got caught in
Run it
this
out.
cycle,
Yep, for
right?
sure.
So, finally, when I decided to get sober, um, as you know as well, like, you really have to get down to the root of, like, starting over, and everything that I lost during that period of my life, needed to be lost. It was kind of like an ego death in a way, because it was a pretty brutal first few years. And I had to really dig in and get clarity on, what do I stand for? What do I really believe? What do I really desire? What happened to me along the way? And putting it back together. And like I've been saying a lot, talking about this, I am a product of everything that I'm sharing of this work. So I know it works, and I believe in it so deeply, and I want to share it with other women.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing you say too there, and thank you for being so honest and so open about your journey and your path. And yes, I'm on the same journey and path, and numbing the experience about the shame and all of that, I totally identify with, and I'm a fellow on that path of sobriety currently. Um, when folks have that sense, like you talk about, of needing to move on from a situation, a current situation that they're in, business related or other, that eventuality, right? To emotionally be able to detach without feeling like a failure,
Yes.
right? And I like to use the phrase that people, jobs, situations, whatever it is, come into our experience for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And
Mhm.
when we as humans try to transition that person, place, or thing from one category to the next, that's where we get into that misery that we create for ourselves.
Mhm.
And in turn, we find ourselves stuck. And that comes into the second part that I wanted to discuss, which is that application of what you're offering. And it's the application not just for business leaders, women in dentistry, for lead hership. And I love that title and I love that framing. That application for not just in leadership, for dentistry, but also the application to all parts of one's life, right? The
Mhm.
inter work, in order to be able to come from a place of giving to lead rather than to manage, right?
Mhm.
And that's
Mhm.
what is so critically important, for true leadership, and to be able to advance and be successful, whatever that looks like, as I bunny ear the word successful. And so, talk to me a little bit about what that application looks like, and for some of your coaching clients you've experienced, and why you want to bring this to a wider audience.
Yeah, I like the idea that you can't really lead at work if you can't lead your own life, right? And you and I, we share about how we continuously are striving and growing in our personal lives. And I don't think that's a coincidence that, you know, leading our personal lives then translates to how we lead in business, right? So, and I'm a firm believer you can't have one without the other, because whatever you're struggling with in your personal life is going to end up showing up in your work life one way or another, or vice versa. And so we're always working on, you know, healing ourselves and growing ourselves to just be the best version that we can be 80% of the time, right? We're always going to have those days. So, the application of it really is, again, when we're looking at the holistic approach, what I'm talking about is the foundation, right? So, there's a lot of you know, coaching programs, women's support groups, other women, entities within dental. Like, it's not the first time we're talking about women gathering in dental, right? And we can all operate in the same space because all of us bring something to the table, and you can have all of these things, but this is true foundational stuff. And I don't think people spend time getting back to the basics and honoring the foundation. I think we're a society typically that's obsessed with, maximizing and doing the, shortcuts and, what anti-aging and like all this stuff that's out there. It's like we're trying to deny the inevitable a lot of the time. And
Yeah.
I'm somebody that's always looking at the foundation. I say to my clients a lot, like, get back to basics. We got to get back to basics because there's years that you're growing and you're pushing for sure. But if you forget about what got you there and the fundamentals and the basics, that's where things always get a little wonky. And you can reevaluate the foundation and you can reevaluate the basics so that they're shifting in time. But if you don't have that restored foundation, like a house, right? You can't grow your mansion on top of quicksand or on top of a foundation that's crap, right? It's gonna
Yeah.
come crumbling down, so you wanna have a solid foundation, so that's what this stuff is, and when we talk about the application of it, it's rooting you down. It's giving you roots so that your growth as a leader, personally and professionally, is strong. Because something that I hear a lot about is, women lack confidence. They lack the ability to have difficult conversations, right? Or they struggle with confrontation, or how to lead a team meeting, or how to approach a certain team member, doctor, or fellow leader with how they're feeling. Because one, they don't know how they actually feel. They don't know why they feel the way they feel. They don't know what's triggering in them with their beliefs or their values. So then they have no foundation, they have no ground to root themselves into when they go in to have one of those difficult conversations, just as an example, right?
Well, yeah, at 1,000%. And, I'm just going to peel off the band-aid and be very bold here because you and I have had some of these conversations.
Yeah.
Women as leaders, the stereotype is they're either too soft or if they're too hard, they're a bitch, right?
Yes. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
can't lead with strength, and have those difficult conversations because that's the moniker, right? And
Mhm.
throw stones, listening audience, right? Blow me up in comments, but it's a stereotype, but it's also a built-in belief system that I've heard, I've understood, I've listened. I'm still learning, right,
Mhm.
as an advocate, and I believe a fairly strong advocate for women and women in leadership and women to grow.
Mhm.
That it is a real thing. Would you agree with that?
100%. Yeah. 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 And I just shared something about that on LinkedIn actually, where there is that stereotype is very alive and well. And typically when men are more aggressive and firm, it's like, oh, they're so strong. They're such a leader, they have this presence
They're
and people
very
can,
for it.
yeah, they're praised and people admire them for their like strength. But then if a woman shows up in that space, like you're saying, it's, oh, she's a bitch. And, you know, is it that time of the month? I mean, I've had that said to me so many
Right.
times in my career, right? Where it's just like, it's and to be honest, I think one of the things that is also a struggle for women is we tend to let things fester because we struggle with having the confidence to recognize, is this something I need to bring up? Is this something I need to talk about? Because society can also gaslight women a lot. Like, oh, you're being too emotional, or oh, it really didn't happen that way, or oh, you're exaggerating, or this or that or that. So we've been taught from a very young age to doubt ourselves and to think what we're thinking isn't actually true. So when we become adults and we're in this adult space, we have feelings and then we go, is that accurate? Am I really feeling this way? Is this really true? Let me ask other people. And then we bury it, we bury it, and we bury it. And then finally something goes off, and then women come out with this like, heated response. And then that's also when they get labeled bitch and whatever else. And like, oh, she's mean, she's aggressive, she's this, she's that, all these names. But it's because there's mountains of emotion behind it as well. So it's multi-layered, but that's the kind of stuff we're going to be talking about, because if you're not recognizing, hey man, if you're sitting on top of this pile of dynamite, at some point you're going to blow and you're going to regret it too, because you're going to say things you don't mean.
Yeah, and I love it. And you're talking about it right there. And the phrase that came to mind is then on the flip side of the coin is that with men, it's kind of like, well, blow up and clean up. And some don't even clean it up. But that is more of like a common understood okay behavior.
Right.
Where it's like, I mean, you and I know because we've shared clients before, right? I've invited you into clients where that is just a normalized behavior pattern. Right? Not all, right? I'm over, categorizing and definitely stereotyping, but that would not be an acceptable pattern, right? With women. So I'm using the same word. Nothing else came to mind there, right? Look at a podcast host can't come up with words. He's real good. Blow me up on socials. I'm fine. It's okay, right? Like, click, and share. Look at this goofball. Anyway, so sorry, I digress. And then the last one that I wanted to talk about was the format, right? So we've talked about the content and then the application, but then the format that you have, which I really was gravitating towards, it's the online group setting, it's the intensive, it's a one-to-one with you. It has the live as well. I mean, there's so many different ways to be able to engage with the content that you've created, which is so juicy. I think it's incredible because different people learn in different ways and engage in different ways. And you and I have, we are lifelong learners and consumers of everything, right? I mean, we do that. I think a lot of it has to do with, if you're in recovery, you do a lot of uncover, discover, discard, and you continue to do that throughout because staying diligent. If not, you and I are brands of crazy and isms come out all over the place. Some people have seen it, even in sobriety, so, and that's okay but we have those tools, and others who don't have the luxury of being in recovery don't necessarily have some of those tools. And we've talked about this and seen this. So the format creation that you've created, I think, is just a fantastic thing. And you've laid that out beautifully. Well, Brandi, you've been on the program before, so that this is the point of the program that all my guests play a little something called What the Sleuth is Going On. It's 3 rapid fire questions. It's the first thing that comes to mind. Are you ready to play?
Yes, I'm ready. I forgot about this.
This is 2.0 because you've been on the show before, so we can't do the same questions. That would just be ridiculous. So, What the Sleuth is Going On 2.0. Question number 1. What's the freshest breath you've ever encountered?
Freshest? Oh my God. I would have to, as far as like a person that had fresh breath.
I'm not qualifying anything here. It's just answer the question, Claire, as we learned from the Breakfast Club.
I would have to say there was somebody that had like a really genuine fruity smell, and I was very impressed with how it smelled. Because it smelled very delicious, but it wasn't like a food thing. I don't know what was going on, but that's what comes to mind.
So just so you know, if you're at a conference, try to have a fruity and delicious breath if you want Brandi to get closer. She's married though, so watch it.
I am married.
She likes the woods and the outdoors,
but
so
I will rest
carry around an axe and have fruity and delicious breath.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Perfect.
Question number 2. It's going off the rails already. Question number 2. Name one person that has a killer smile.
Aw, killer smile. Oh my gosh. Well, I'd have to say my husband, actually. Not to give a canned answer, but he just has an adorable, precious smile, and it's meaty. He's got these meaty cheeks. Yeah,
Meaty
he's got an adorable
cheeks.
smile. Yeah, he's precious, and he smells with his eyes too.
Mr. Marzolino, you are a lucky, lucky man. Snatched up Brandi Molitor off the market and made her a Marzolino. There you go.
I know.
When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, it's Amore. I don't know. We're singing on the Two Sleuth podcast now. I don't know what's going on. Question number 3,
Yeah.
last and final. What is the best dental product invention and why?
Oh my gosh. I think we did answer this one before. And
No, it's a different iteration.
oh,
Now,
got it.
now.
I don't know, Greg. This is too much. There's so many things running through my mind.
First thing that came to mind.
Well, dental product, I really think floss is like the best.
There you go. See, that's okay. Because like it's different because in the original, it's if you could go back and be the inventor of any dental product. And so you'd be like, I
Oh.
wouldn't invent floss, but what's the best dental product? See, you see how it's changed up? Original
Yeah, I think
2.0?
floss
You
is
see what I
just
did there?
yeah, yeah, you're always growing and evolving. This is great. I just think there's nothing yeah, like floss, I'm always having it on me. I floss multiple times a day. So, I mean, there's things that are like really helpful and can save lives, I'm sure. Again, the fundamentals.
Brandi Marzolino, saving lives. If you need a little floss, come up with fruity and delicious breath. And
Yeah, the fundamentals, right? You need floss.
well, this has been fantastic. Brandi, is there
Right.
anything in the last few minutes that I haven't asked you or that you want to share with my listening audience today?
No. Well, I mean, yes. I really encourage any woman
Decisive today.
I would encourage any woman out there that resonates with this. We do have the Lead Her Circle is open, which is the founding members sign up there. You get all the details for the launch that's coming in August. You get all kinds of cool swag, invites, like some really cool stuff. There's no like you don't have to sign up for the program if you sign up for the Lead Her Circle. But it's a great way to stay in touch and learn more about this. And or if you're interested in participating in another capacity, you know, I am looking for badass women to be on the master classes with me and support in any sort of way. So please reach out, find me, go to the Lead Hership Experience / Lead Her Circle. That's where you can sign up to learn more. And I'm super, super excited and grateful to be on here with you because you're the best.
Excellent. Thank you so much. My guest today, we'll make sure that gets in the show notes too, so people can link and click to and find it for sure. My guest today has been Brandi Marzolino, who is starting up the Lead Hership program. I think I got the name right. Experience. So close.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on the show today. It's always a pleasure spending time with you and having you on as a guest of the Two Sleuth podcast. Have
Thank
a
you,
great rest
Craig.
of your day.
Thank you.
If you need help with converting lead calls into consultations, closing consults into more full arch cases, or creating a more strategic marketing message and branding for your practice or group, follow me for more tips or reach out to G&A Consult for a discovery call today.